Hello everyone, today I'm going to make just a short brief video of how to clean out or rebuild your carburetor from your chainsaw, head trimmer, leaf blower. Most two-stroke carburetors are more or less all the same. This particular one here is from a Stihl 039. So basically when your carb is removed from your chainsaw, this is what you're looking at. I'm just going to show you how to tear it down and put it back together. Okay, so remove any small things that's in the way of your small screws, whatever. This here is your top plate, so carb side facing out, choke side facing out, obviously throttle side will be facing in on your carb. Just remove your small screws in order to remove your top plate. I just use a small flat screwdriver. I find it fits most of them easily. If it's a thing that's a really old carb or the screws are really tight, take your time, get a Phillips screwdriver and you'll remove them without any problem. That's our top plate removed. There's nothing really in our top plate, it's just an inlet. Lets air through is all. Some have this, some don't. If it's just a flat top plate, same thing. Here's your diaphragm. Okay, now your diaphragm works through a vacuum, so it's pumping up and down. By this pumping up and down on your fuel on the vacuum, it's moving up and down your small needle jet in here, which is allowing the fuel flow to flow through the engine. Here's your gasket. Okay, so with this removed, I'm going to go and remove this bottom plate down here. So just remove this screw. Okay, don't be worried anything is going to fly out or fall out. It won't, it's relatively easy. You just remove this, you have a gasket here. Here's our screen. Okay, now if you're replacing these and you remove them and they're stuck to your carb or whatever, take a sharp blade or something like this and just clean it away, clean this surface away so it's good and clean for your new carb kit. If it's a thing you're just taking apart your carb to clean it all out and blow it out, however, just be careful, take the time. If it's stuck to the side of your carb or something, just start one edge of it, okay, and remove it slowly. Now there's no need to remove this. If you're just cleaning out your carb and this is stuck here, leave it alone. There's no need to remove it. But while removing this, if it's stuck to this surface here of the gasket, go very, very slowly. Just start one corner and work it all the ways around. Don't just yank and tear, because if you damage this, your carb will not work properly back together. With that done, there's a small screw here. This is holding in your small little fuel jet. Okay, this here I call it a little lifter, or fuel pump, whichever you want to call it. Has a small spring underneath it. So keep your finger on this while removing this, so your little spring or little bits don't go flying everywhere. Just remove this small screw and you can just go ahead, topple it upside down on a clean piece of paper or table or whatever. There's your small spring that I'm telling you about. These small parts can also come apart like so. So don't worry about that if these all come asunder like this on you. Now with that done, we'll go to this side. I've seen a lot of videos posted on YouTube and places where people go this far and blow out everything, put the saw back together, and it's still not right. There's a miss and it's not right because you have a small area in here and you can see here, if you blow this out here and you think, yeah, everything is clean. Well, see, you have a little small mesh filter inside here. It gets missed. The debris can be missed underneath this. People think they have it clean, but they don't. And this is very, very important because it's the opposite side of your small jet, your needle jet. So make sure and take him out. Just take your time with something small. Remove him. Clean all this area. Clean all these smaller holes. Blow them with your airline, carb cleaner, whatever you want to use. Okay? So that's all taken apart. It's blown with your airline. It's all cleaned out. Then you're ready to reassemble. So basically, to reassemble, just take something to level up your carb so that it's sitting fairly level. To put this little spring can be tricky to stand up in its place. In here in the carb you have a little indent that the spring seats down on to seat your spring. So I find the easiest way to do this is take your spring and just stand him up in his little seat, okay? I've seen videos posted where people are putting these together separately by putting your little jet into this hole and trying to sit this in here like so while in the carb. It's very hard for somebody who hasn't done this before to try and do that. It would be very hard. If it's just clean up you're doing, make sure there's no debris or anything on the end of this little jet. Make sure the little jet is good and clean, that there's not debris. If it's a carb kit you're putting in, well, obviously it's new, it'll be clean. So we just seat him in there like that on his little fork, okay? Now notice the little indent here on this. This is going to sit on the spring. It seats on the spring to hold the spring in place. So it'll be facing downward. Put your little jet in here like so, okay? And then your little pin, bar, whatever you want to call this little thing, sits in here like this. Now, if you can take this here like this with one hand, it's way easier to put it in to install it. Kind of just put it down all in one go then, okay? Now I'm going to pick up this carb, hopefully the spring doesn't fall. Okay, so, of course it did. The spring can be the fiddliest part of putting one of these together. After that, it's easy to disassemble and reassemble these carbs, you know. Now, we're back in place again. I'm just not sitting right to seat this properly. Okay. So keep your spring standing up like this, okay? And in one movement, you want to put this over the little hole where your little jet's going to sit down, and we'll just see her jet like so, okay? Now, that's back in there, but our little pin, as you can see, it's not seated. There's a little slot down here that this seats in, so just seat him over like so, okay? Now we're good. Now, we put back in our small screw. We put back in our small screw now like so. If you can get a thread or two with your finger on this, it makes it easier. If you can't, you'll work it with a screwdriver anyways. Just take your time and you'll work it. There's no need to over tighten these. Some people really tighten them and it'll pull the threads on the carb, and there's no need for it. Just a small tighten is all they need. Now we can check when it's all back together. When we're pushing down on our little lifter, we can see our little jet is moving up and down as he should, and we can see that our little spring underneath is sitting in on this little indent. That's really the trickiest part, worst part out of the way. So it is that can be the hardest part for some people, is to reinstall that little spring and that little lifter. After that, back on your gasket, back down your diaphragm like so. There's little indents on the carb already. As you can see here, your gasket and your diaphragm will sit down on these to keep it in place, so you can't go wrong or make mistakes or anything like that once you follow those little indents. Now we sit back down the diaphragm. Just be very vigilant and observe very carefully everything you're putting back, that's sitting in its proper place, and you'll have no problems then. Okay, so with that back down there, now you can see it's doing its job again. Okay, so we put back on our front plate, which also has holes to sit down on these indents, like so. Back in our screws. Just kind of work them in by hand first, just in case if your gasket is any ways not in line and underneath there or something, you don't want to put your screw down through and destroy your gasket or diaphragm. So just if you can start them 1-2 threads by hand, just to be safe, that you know you're definitely in the right place. You don't want to go ahead and wreck a new carb kit or something by forcing a screw down where it doesn't want to go. If you tighten in a crisscross pattern, I find it just pulls down evenly is all. Now, we won't over tighten these, just once they're snug like so is good enough. Excuse me. Now, back to our little screen. We sit this little screen back into its hole here. Okay, now you can use many different things to put this back in. If you have a drill bit of this size or something of the size, I just normally use this screw. Just once it sits down on its little seat in there, a little seat for a little lip around the inside of the carb where this thing sits, to keep it in place. It can't really fall out or anything when the saw is back together because the screen goes tightly against the bottom of it there. Just make sure he's in fairly level and even around the sides of it. Then you're good to go. Okay, so now we're back down to the other end. Yeah, blow all these out, clean any of these smaller areas. Make sure there's no debris anywhere if it's just a clean up you're doing. Have all the debris taken out. And the same again, there's little indents on this to piece this all together. It holds it together for you. On most carbs anyway, some mightn't have these little indents, but the same thing, if you follow the pattern of the carb, which are gaskets and things, then you can't go wrong. So that's back in place like that. Don't worry too much if these don't line up. Sometimes they don't, these little tabs on the end. Sometimes they don't line up. They just, some people can be put off by that. You know, they're worrying, oh, it's not perfectly in line, or it's just where they're made. Sometimes they don't. They mightn't line exactly up. Now, once again, go ahead and sit this down onto its little indented part. What's going on? Oh, I'm facing the wrong way. Make sure if this is if your carb has one of these on it, it's going to an impulse line like so, that will always be facing throttle side in on your carb. If you're confused when your carb is taken apart, or your choke when the carb is taken out of the machine will never be shut like this. It won't normally anyways. It'll normally be left, it'll be opened, the open side like this, whereas you can tell the difference on your throttle side because it will stay closed by itself. Your throttle side won't stay opened like this when the carb is out of the chainsaw, because the spring here will keep it closed. So that's one way of telling, you know, if this is facing for your throttle side. Just remember when you remove this from the chainsaw, this has to be facing back inward to go to your diaphragm or to go to your impulse line. So that being said, that's your carb back together, cleaned out, rebuilt, whatever, and back together. There's no real need to take out these screws unless you want to go tuning or something, you know, if there was a miss in the saw when it goes back together, whatever. If so, and that's the case, the general rule of thumb for these is factory settings. You screw them completely in closed. Don't over tighten, just screw them in closed like so. I'll do this and show you. Okay, so screw it until it's closed like that. Now the easiest way to count these out, mark your screwdriver, the handle of your screwdriver, or take note just where the screw is facing here, okay? So these from factory settings should be set a turn and a half for your high and a turn and a quarter for your low, okay? Now we count from here in half turns, okay? So half, 1, 1.5, okay? So when this goes back into the machine, whichever machine it's going into, if it's still bogging down or it's maybe running too high or too lean, just go back to these screws again. Your low screw, your top screw controls when the machine is absolutely at its limit, up at its top RPMs or revs. That's what this screw controls. Your low screw controls getting it from ticking over up to stage of being flat out or on the limit, you know. So basically, if it's not taking over, not running really good, missing and spluttering and things, if you just turn 5 minutes on the clock is a big turn for one of these, you know. So even 5 minutes on the clock, and try from there and stay moving like that each time with the saw running, and check and check. Once you get go down on the lower end of it, if you have problems when she's running flat out that it's missing or it's spluttering, go back to your high screw, the one marked H, and just do the same thing. If you move it out and it's bogging down worse, well then move back in. Just move very small gradual turns like this at a time, and you'll eventually sort the problem. Now, I never made one of these videos before. I hope that video will be a help to somebody. Somebody will learn something from it. Thanks very much. Goodbye.